This was analysis done by academics, I think, out of Victoria University. Victoria University academics Simon Davis, Claire Ann Fortune, Karen Salmon. Oh, that word's gone. The fish is a salmon. There you go. Got it. I had to say fish first. And Linda Fatiolofa have written this piece, put together this piece of research, and it says thus. Boot camps for young offenders are back, but researchers, people I just mentioned, say the psychological evidence that they're ineffective never went away. Boot camps for young people who commit serious offending are coming back. The coalition government has promised to pilot military-style academies by the middle of this year, despite a wealth of international and New Zealand evidence that boot camps do not reduce offending. And that link went to this piece of evidence. Effectiveness of 12 types of interventions in reducing juvenile offending and antisocial behaviour. Part of the summary of this says this: based on the most recent systematic research in each category, the most effective interventions are parent training, focused deterrence, child skills training, cognitive behavioural therapy, mentoring and family therapy. Anti-bullying programs, anti-cyberbullying programs and pre-court diversion programs are quite effective, while school exclusion, getting expelled, reduction after school programs and boot camps are the least effective. The story goes on to say it's been encouraging to see this evidence receive extensive media coverage and expert analysis. Less encouraging, however, has been the Minister for Children's reported rejection of expert advice that the boot camp model is flawed and ineffective. I have a very short clip here of TVNZ Breakfast Show talking about the effectiveness of boot camps or not. I think this piece is about 60 seconds. Let's have a listen.
Morena, I don't have much hope at all, to be honest, and I'm appalled that this idea has come back around again after generations of failed attempts. It really is reheating something that has never had any success and really causes long-term harm.
What are your fears? What happens in those boot camps for people who don't know and think, well, they're just going to, have a bit of tough talk and a bit of tough love? What actually occurs inside those boot camps?
What we know from the evidence presented to the Royal Commission of Inquiry into Abuse and Care, from Borstall's and corrective trainings in the 70s and 80s, whakapakiri in the 90s and 2000s, and Moerangi Treks, places like that, they become really abusive because there are people there who aren't equipped to deal with young people who have complex needs. And so it might start out with good intentions, but often there's a lot of physical and verbal abuse. There's a lot of hierarchy involved because military involves hierarchy. Even if you're not really part of the military, if you're just playing at it, you still use these hierarchies. And what happens is that the older kids become enforcers and perpetrate abuse on the smaller and younger ones at the camps, and they become dumping grounds for all sorts of kids.
So there's a snippet of the information that those researchers were also citing. I'll just read, there's a couple of more sentences, George. I'll just finish this thing off and then we can get to chatting. The article goes on to say, in practice and in the criminal justice system in particular, punishment rarely works that way. It has long been argued that punishment which is immediately certain and severe will deter crime, but most offending goes undetected initially. Punishment is often delayed and more severe sentences have not been shown to deter offending. Serious offending in particular appears not to be deterred by punishment. Later on in the article, there's a section about when punishment meets trauma. Perhaps the main problem with the assumption that young people who offend seriously just need some discipline is that they have often already experienced more and more severe discipline than most. We might also call this abuse. Recent New Zealand evidence found 95% of a sample of 63 young people involved in ram raid events had been exposed to family harm. 65% reported 5 or more such occasions. And then, as every good piece should do, focus on what we know works, what to do. There is good evidence that several different interventions, ones that have therapeutic focus, involve relevant support people and work on building skills for living pro-socially, can reduce reoffending and other antisocial behaviour. Nor does it mean young people who seriously offend should be exempt from consequences, but we should be honest about the purpose and likely outcome of those consequences and accept that punishment alone will not change behaviour. They haven't worked in the past, or the experts say they're not going to work, George, and yet this government seems to want to do it again. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess from the government's point of view, or from the political point of view, it seems to roll back around at a time when obviously there is, especially under a national government or just coming out of an election year, especially with ram raids, gangs and regulation around gang patches and all of that. And also, here in Dunedin, the stabbing in the bus hub.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Which was a big thing for Dunedin. Obviously, there's violence throughout the country. This has popped up again as a solution. I liked what the woman there mentioned about hierarchies. These things I imagine would function much like some of the gangs that people would fall into. In terms of these contexts where she mentioned the word enforcer, where there are people,
The
older kids
yeah,
that have to play the role of enforcing, the party line, as it were. But yeah, obviously, boot camps in general and full on punishment like that does not reduce reoffending, as the article which I had read. Actually, I would recommend people read it. It was on The Conversation, which is a great free resource with lots of academics writing there. But yes, does not reduce reoffending. In fact, could increase it.